Thank you, Rob. We'll call the April 18, 2022 meeting with Greenwood Board of Public Works and Safety to order at 5:30 p.m. Roll call, please, Amanda.
Mr. Rutherford.
Here.
Mr. Hoover.
Here.
Mr. Kaufman.
Here.
Thank you.
Minutes of the regular session of our last meeting, April 4, 2022, been distributed to members of the board. Any corrections, additions, or deletions from staff? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval as presented?
I move that we approve the minutes as presented. Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. First on our agenda tonight is Anthony Saber, property owner of Ashton Park, Section 2, Lot 83. Are you here with us, Anthony? You see him on?
I see.
Yeah,
It's on.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Tell us what we're doing here.
Well, these are single-family attached homes. When we bought these 20 years ago, the survey then did not have the dotted line down the middle. Therefore, we're not able to sell it as two separate homes. And if we'd like to do that in the future, we have to have this done. So we own 6. The others had the survey correct. I'm not sure why this one was done that way. So we're trying to go through the steps to get that as 2 different properties, as 813 and 815 instead of just 813.
Well, it's lot 83, right?
Yes.
Paul, we have your memo. Anything out of the ordinary here?
No, everything's in order.
Okay.
I'd move for approval. I'll second.
Further discussion?
How's that happen?
Everything's in order.
Yeah. But it didn't get
Right
divided.
here.
You know, I don't know, because I think she's right. I think every other one out there has had like a subplat done to it, but that one never did. I'm not sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll fix it. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
Next, Jason Rumloff from Morphe Construction, Main Street, Madison Avenue, streetscape. Good evening, please.
Jason Umlauf, Morphe Construction, project representative for the Main and Madison streetscape improvement. I've been asked to come up and comment on the planned closure and start of construction. Morphe Construction plans to start work the week of May 2nd. Our intentions are to start phase 1A, which is the first of 7 phases. This will involve closure of Madison between Main and Pearl Street. Through traffic, northbound through traffic will be closed at Main Street. Northbound through traffic will be detoured east on Main Street to Meridian Street, then north on Meridian Street to Broadway Street, then west on Broadway Street, ending at Madison Avenue. Southbound traffic will do the opposite, so they will be closed at Broadway Street. Southbound traffic will be detoured east on Broadway Street to Meridian Street, then south on Meridian Street to Main Street, then west on Main Street, ending at Madison Avenue. Local access will be provided for southbound local traffic and will be maintained on the west side of Madison.
How long is that gonna happen, Jason?
Our estimated duration is it's going to start on the 3rd of May, and we hope to be wrapping up this phase June 6th.
So this will touch over a month.
Yeah, that's pending no delays. Whether
Questions for Jason?
Jason, I guess you're coordinating with, is it Kevin and Chuck? or-
Kevin and Chuck, they're up to date on our recent schedule. They have plans of it. The maintenance of traffic is the design maintenance of traffic,
Okay.
so they have the plans and we're following the design.
Okay.
School buses.
We'll coordinate through Chuck and Kevin on emergency vehicles and services.
Other questions? You're just looking for approval? Was this a the notice you're giving us, Jason, what's?
No, I was asked, I guess I don't do this a lot, but they asked me to come here and discuss it. I don't know if it's to gain approval or.
Well, the detour route, I suppose it's been through your guys' office.
It's mostly been ran through Kevin and Chuck, but yeah. I think
Okay.
we saw it at some point.
And I think what we've, obviously we knew this was coming and.
Right, I think it's just to let you know it's
Okay.
getting close and the time frame.
And it just so you'll confirm either through Kevin or Chuck and or Chuck. So all the notices are given and
Right.
public safety for the barriers and.
I know we have a
Thanks, sir.
certain procedure, I mean, Chuck are aware of that. To call certain entities like the school systems, the mail.
I'll follow up with Chuck and Kevin, make sure that if it's us or them that needs to notify, we'll send out notification.
Okay.
But like I said, this is the first of 7 phases, so there's going to be changes in major traffic. I don't know how they want to handle updating the city on that, but they have our schedule and they have the plan.
Okay.
Not sure.
I guess what our procedure is that if you run it through Kevin or Chuck, so that everything that they will have are sort of our power, and I think we would, I'm presuming we will give conditional approval, making certain that you, that's clear everything with those two guys representing the city. Any changes that need to be made can be made through them rather than having to wait to come back to the next meeting. So, given that conditional approval, is there a motion to make that conditional approval motion?
So moved.
Say. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thanks, good luck. We're looking forward to it. Mr. Jones, good evening.
Afternoon.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Director Chris Jones, Director of Stormwater Management. Just here to request that Board of Works authorize staff prepare bid specification and authorize advertise for bid for the Creek Bridge project and alternate sanitary sewer project.
Questions for Chris?
Didn't we already have that on our agenda? Or was that something for something else on that?
Yeah, we addressed this earlier this year, but I think it was to combine both projects.
You also approved the interlocal agreement.
That's what it was. Yeah. Okay. I'll move for approval. I'll second that.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Mr. Petty, sorry there. Good evening. Good afternoon. I'll get to drag us in there later. Hope you're not here till we.
I actually just have 2 quick items for you tonight, if that's okay.
Sure.
First one is, I know the agenda said asking for approval of purchase dump trucks. These actual 2 trucks have already were approved in March of 21. What I'm asking approval for is we've decided to trade in a 2010 International 7300 VIN ending 230605. We've been given a trade-in value of $35,000. Which I believe is a very good value for this particular truck. That just asking board's permission to use that as trade-in towards the purchase of these 2 new trucks.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
The second thing is we've had a vehicle received a response from our insurance company today regarding an accident we've had on a 2019 Charger VIN ending 565900. It's been deemed a total loss with a value of $28,388. I'm just asking for the board to release that vehicle and otherwise we do, but wait to settle it on.
For approval of that.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Todd. Next, we're gonna talk to the street department. Hey. How are you? Good.
I'm Brett Wholesale, maintenance assistant.
got 3 items: the paint, the beads, our fertilizer, weed killer, the regions. The paint is $14.95 for the white, yellow was $15.40, light green was $30 a gallon, for white, yellow. These want to go with Venus Flint on that. Beads. Orgo was 48 cents a pound. Light green was 64 cents a pound. Just want to go with Orgo on that. Sherman-Williams couldn't provide anything this year. These were hard to last year, hard to get this year too. The paint, raw materials for the paint. they could deliver that.
Well, Brad, let's do the paint first. It looks like the recommendation is, the department is go with Venus Flint. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. And then turning to the beads, Swarco Industries seems to be the lowest responsible bidder. Is that correct, Brad? That's correct. Pleasure of the board with respect to the beads.
I move we approve the request and award that to Swarco. Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now you can talk to us about the fertilizer.
Fertilizer's gone up quite a bit, like everything has this year. We've got some stuff in stock. We really need to get 5 gallons, Arsenal Buccaneer would 5 gallons, Confirms 10 gallons, Vessels 50. Loctite kind of helps chemicals stick to the plants. 40 farms, 40 fertilizer that we've used in the past.
So you're asking for approval of that
That's for approval for that too, yes.
up to an amount not to exceed $12,000. I'll move for approval of that.
He was also on approval for the, I guess, the law department, be able to do all the contracts for those.
They've been approved. They've been reviewed. They're all responsive and low bidders.
One second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, Brad.
Thanks.
Tell Kenny we don't need him. Chief, good evening. Good afternoon. I don't know why. It's dark outside.
When does evening start?
Yeah, for my life, it starts probably about 3 o'clock.
I come before you tonight for a special consideration of a purchase of a new fire engine. That fire engine would be engine 92, replacing an aging engine 92 that we are currently having frame rail issues with. The frame rails have started to corrode badly, and we're afraid that we're not going to be able to live it along for another couple of years. So we would like to get approval for the process of starting that actual order. Once we start, then we're still about 435 days out until arrival.
We're still up that far. And then the two we authorized last year, they coming in.
So we've gotten a couple updates for new engine 94. We are thinking that we'll have it in hand by October of this year. And for the ladder 91 replacement, it looks like it's going to be January or February of 2023.
There's some special purchase requirements for this, Chief.
The special purchase requirements are that we have the ability to purchase through a cooperative HVAC that allows us not only special financing or not financing, but special purchase price, but also it's a sole source vendor for the type of infrastructure, the cab and chassis that we're looking for to help alleviate future problems of the corrosion.
Is this price similar to what the other ones
It is,
purchased
it
last?
is. It went up slightly, but it's very close.
We've got, if you consider this favorably, we want to make note that this is a special purchase of this pumper is in accordance with the code 522-10-5, 522-10-13, just to make certain that we are square with the legal department. So, quite other questions for Chief August?
Would move that we approve the request for authorization for replacement of engine 92. In accordance with those guidelines that you cited, state code.
Second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I think it probably goes without saying on that, that the contract, the chief was authorized by the board to sign that contract.
Thank you.
Jeff, good evening. Dang, I meant just give it up.
I think it's safe to say evening. It's
Yeah,
almost
it-
6 o'clock.
it
It's evening.
With the opening of, or the readying of the field house, they're gonna need a copy machine. So I would like to enter into an agreement with Sharp to use the machine for 5 years. Cost would be $89 a month for 5 years plus maintenance, which would be the same pricing as the rest of our machines. It's all based on how much they'll be using actually.
This is the 5 years.
It is.
Questions from Mr. Michael?
I'll move for approval. Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Good, we'll have a good evening and a good rest of the afternoon. Neil Van Trees for Leonard. Neil, are you online with us? Is there someone to talk about Holly Springs?
Rob,
He's there.
He's there.
This mic's off.
I lost.
Neil, can you hear us? See your name.
I'll be just going to walk us through this one.
Areas.
Okay.
Neil.
Neil, are you with us? Well, Paul.
I can do it.
Thank you.
This is for the proposed Holly Springs subdivision that Lennar wants to construct here in the near future, I believe. It's located there at the northeast corner of Sheep Road and Ray Crow Way. You know where that road, yeah, okay. Their ultimate outlet point for the stormwater is going to the south, and it's going to dump into a detention facility that's in the Beacon Point Apartments. That's been there for probably 12 years or so. But to get to that point, they need this off-site drainage easement to access that pond. And the legal department has prepared the document, engineering's reviewed the exhibit and legal description. Everything appears to be in order, so they're asking for the board to accept and execute this off-site drainage easement for that project.
With your approval, correct?
I mean, we're good with it. Yeah, yes, we are good with it. Yes.
Pleasure, board.
I'll move to accept and execute the offsite drainage easement. Holly Springs subdivision.
I'll second that for discussion. And then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Brown's Canal Properties. Let's talk about Greenwood Park at 65 South.
Hello,
Hi, Derek.
how's everybody?
Good, how are you?
No, not too bad.
Okay. What we got going tonight?
I believe I am just here to accept or I guess, the release of our performance bonds on the Greenwood FedEx property. Greenwood Park at 65 South, building number 2.
We've got a lengthy memo, Paul, but it looks like everything's in order.
Yes, everything's in order, and I believe they're working on the check for the balance due on the inspection testing. And that's the one condition that we have, but everything else is in order, yes.
Derek, you're aware of the inspection and testing balance of $8,200 and some change?
I am, and I believe that was sent out. I think we got that note, Friday? And I think either today or Friday, Sean had contacted our accounting to overnight that. So that should be coming in anytime.
Okay, we'll look for it. Pleasure of the board on this.
I move we approve subject to that condition of the payment of the inspection testing group.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, Derek.
Have a good night.
Yeah. Greg Ilko, Crossroads, the Tartar subdivision.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey, Greg, you got it right. Good afternoon.
So we're looking to get acceptance of improvements and the completion, acknowledgement of the completion of the improvements, and then a conditional acceptance of maintenance guarantees. And I'm assuming a conditional release of performance guarantees. I know Paul's been in contact with Mark Tartar a couple times here today. Mark had some issues with his bank just because the bond amounts or the surety amounts are so small that I think, Paul, what was basically worked out is that we're going to prepare one surety for the maintenance guarantees, one bond for the maintenance guarantees, and then Mark's going to get that to you as soon as possible. But I certainly appreciate you guys allowing Mark to get on this agenda to get this box checked.
Yeah, the owner is working on guarantees, and Greg's right, the amount is so small that he asked if the board might entertain having all the improvements combined on one guarantee. So that's the condition, to receive that and be able to review it.
Okay. Pleasure of board.
I move that we approve and grant the request to combine the bonds.
Subject to the condition, correct?
Correct.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
You too. Chad Oldham, Reeser Homes, got a couple matters here. Chad's gonna tell us about. Chad, are you with us? Don't see him up there. Well, Paul, go ahead.
Okay.
You're earning your keep tonight.
This is for Heritage Trace Section 1 and then Heritage Trace Section 2. It's the identical request to ask for acceptance of the sidewalks and then acceptance of the maintenance guarantees for those, and then release of the performance guarantees for the sidewalks. Everything's in order. There were some repairs that had to be made. They've done those, they've inspected everything. It's all good in the field. So each request is identical.
Yeah, let's do section 1 first.
I move for approval, section 1.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Is there a motion with respect to section 2?
So moved.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, Chad. You're here to bring the ether, I guess, right? Okay, Campus Wilkerson, good evening.
Good evening.
Talk about Meadows at Bellevue.
Yes, sir. We are here to ask for the acceptance of the performance guarantee for the sanitary sewer at Meadows at Bellevue, section 1, and ask that the plat be signed for Greenwood's Park for the sanitary.
It's the subdivision out in the county. So normally they would have the sanitary sewers accepted at the same time. However, I think they're having some difficulty with other utilities getting in, but they really want to move forward with the plat, I think, to get it recorded, to get it through Johnson County.
Yes, sir. We're looking to record the plat soon. We sell these lots to the Horton and Bay. So
Yeah.
we're trying to get the plat recorded about a month before that, so we can do our title work for the lots.
But we won't issue any building permits or sanitary permit for any of these lots until the sewer is accepted by the board, so hopefully.
Johnson County REMC's flagged it. They told us they were gonna start by today. They're not out there yet, but so they're behind. Once they get their trenching done, we're able to do the testing, then we'll be back in about a month, we assume, to ask for final acceptance and maintenance.
So this is allowed for the sewer service agreement. It's just that it normally, everything happens at once. So everything's okay with the performance guarantee and the plat.
Mr. Collins going to recuse himself?
Yes, I need to recuse myself from this one. I have a separate contract with Forest on. Other contract, not on this particular property, but in a different county.
Sam, are you okay with all this process as he's asked?
I move to accept the performance guarantee for sanitary sewer, accept the final plat of the land, Meadows of Bellevue, section 1.
I will second that. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you.
The next item, one time, they've asked to be
Taken
removed.
Okay.
from the agenda.
Then we'll move down to John Oler, Madison, 523.
Good evening. This is Joe Allen. I'm sitting in for John. He couldn't make it to the meeting. But so we are requesting early pour hours for our concrete, probably 5 or 6 days in June and another 5 or 6 days in July. It's currently on schedule. So if we could start at 4 a.m. for those pours so that we are not working at 10 or 11 o'clock at night.
Usual time is 7. Is that from under memory correctly? John?
Great.
Yes, normally at 7 o'clock. I'm sorry, John Shell, City of Greenwood, South Madison Avenue. One of the projects I'm currently working on is the parking garage over at the Madison. City, as you probably know, will own the parking garage, and I'm watching and monitoring the construction of that structure. I'm over on site, and currently they're working on buildings B, E, F, and G. And these concrete pours that they're wanting to get into, I think it's, I can't necessarily speak as to the hours that Mr. Allen has requested, but I can say that being able to start pouring early, getting on job site early is of benefit. This project, as you know, is extremely important to the city. It's kind of a key project for the city, and this will help keep on schedule, get the concrete pours early enough in the day that the concrete starts curing and not pouring the concrete in the heat of the day once we get into June, July. And
Either one of you, any estimate for the time from the start? I think you said early June, but how long would this?
I believe Mr. Allen is asking for 5 or 6 days in each month. Is that true?
That's correct. So there's actually 3 days in May, and then 3 or 4 days in June, and then it goes into July currently. 2 or 3 days in July.
These would be large concrete pours that take a long time.
Right.
As you can get them started earlier. I'm assuming you're going to use a pumper truck on these.
Yeah, there'll be a pump truck, but then you have saw cutting as well. So, you wouldn't want to be doing that at 9 or 10 o'clock. We have to do that, right after as part of the finishing process.
The saw cutting is for control joints for concrete. Concrete does 2 things. It gets hard and it cracks. So this is to try to help control the cracking for these buildings that are going in the apartment complexes on B, E, F, and G.
Is there any noise connected with that, the start of the board?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But not some of the people that are on the end of Orchard, should we just notify them, tell them?
I think it'd probably be a good idea to notify. Again, this project it's going to be good for the property values of the people adjacent to
I'm all
this.
for it.
Yeah, and
Might be a relatively small inconvenience.
yeah, I don't want to say got very
Benefit that's going to That's probably a good idea. Probably you.
Just tell them what's.
Home Avenue and maybe.
Don't ask.
Right.
Permit.
We'll look within
500 foot or so distance from the edge of the site.
Use some common sense about that.
Right.
Other questions for Joe or John?
I'd move for approval. Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you.
I don't see Adam here. Is Adam online?
He's online.
There you
Yes, sir. Hear me?
go. Adam, yes, we can.
Awesome. Hey, I'm remote today, and I know you all have a pretty packed agenda, so I'll be brief, but I trust you all have a full copy in your packets. We're looking at the Greenwood Sanitation year-to-date through March 31st financial review. If whoever's working the slides, if you could advance to maybe the third slide, please. This one right here. Yep, the actual suspense. So as far as the first quarter of 2022, the utility is slightly ahead of schedule relative to cash and revenue collected. It's slightly behind plan relative to expenditures. That's been pretty consistent with the trend line starting in 2021. So the current rate plan is for fiscal years 2021 to 2025. So far, the utility is right on schedule with its revenue plan, and it's slightly below plan relative to expenditures, which is why the current cash position is in the chart there to the left. You can see the forward years and plan. So currently the rates are sufficient. They're meeting and exceeding all of the expenditures and it's fully funding the capital improvement plans that are planned over the next 4 years. So it's a high level there. And then if you'll advance to slide 5, please. Okay, so there's quite a bit of information on this page, but in effort to try to be concise and respectful for others on the agenda, the one item that I would point out in the 2022 year-to-date actual column in that yellow amount there at the bottom, the treatment rate is up about 20% year over year, and that's going to continue to increase through phase 1 of the settlement agreement. The treated flows is the note that I want to make there from an executive update. That is, while we had 3 fiscal months, that there were only 2 months billed from Citizens Energy. So that reflects only 2 months of flows. So if you were to normalize that and then annualize that amount, we would be closer in line to our 2022 year estimate of just shy of 4.1 billion gallons. So when you see the treated expense and some of the billed utilization percentages, they're all a little skewed to the first quarter just because we only had two months of treatment expense. But you can continue to see the impact of participation of rainfall, as well as just the overall trend line of the monthly treatment expenses, both in volume and in dollars, increasing. And then lastly, before I open it up for any questions, again, just pointing out some report highlights. If you will tab forward, I think it's the 8th slide. To this one right here. Perfect. Thank you. So this looks back over the last 2 years and then through year to date. And again, the current rate model went into effect in January of 2021, which is right in the middle of that trend line. The yellow is the blue is actual revenues, gross revenues collected. The dark gray is total expenditures, including capital. In this case, you can see the need for the rate study rates that went into effect in January of 2021. You can see that correction. And then while revenues have been exceeding expenditures over the last 15 months, you can see a pretty noticeable uptick in the expenditure trend, really starting back in November and December of last year. A lot of that is just normalization as supplies and some of the orders are starting to get fulfilled again. Some of that backlog of items that were ordered mid last year in the summer starting to get picked up. Additionally, keep in mind that this expense line is actuals, so that there's an additional month of treatment that is not in these numbers as well, which we expect to be about a $400,000 expenditure. So with that, there's a lot more in this, but in spirit of trying to be concise, I think that hits the high points. I'd welcome any questions that you may have over the first quarter 2022 sanitation results.
Questions for Adam?
The first quarter is really 2 months. Is that what you're saying?
Good question. It's the first quarter is 2 months worth of treatment expense. Everything else has been posted. So all of the wages, salaries, benefits, everything else has 3 full months. It's just the Citizens Energy treatment expense. There were only 2 bills actually received in the first quarter.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Well, Adam, as usual, very good report. Appreciate your work on this and keeping this up to date.
Yes.
Thank you. All of a nice.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Anyone from the audience wish to address us? Please.
I'm here for approval, my fence, storage unit, and 3 sides concrete around my house, the side and back.
Have you submitted anything to the city before?
Yeah, I submit a letters. I sent 16 print letters to everyone and stamp, and I put upstairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your address?
2602 Sheet Road, Greenwood, Indiana.
Have we?
What's subdivision? Do you know?
It's Heritage
Heritage Trace. I know there was one that we had on the agenda tentatively early on, but there wasn't a drawing enclosed. And I know that we had reached out, and I don't know if this is the one though, we had reached out to the petitioner and didn't get a response. So I don't know if that's this one or not.
Well, in any event, we don't have anything tonight to.
No, we don't have
Okay.
it. And if, yeah, 'cause we talked about it late last week and we still haven't received a response, or at least that's what I was informed. I mean, I hate to delay, but.
When are you trying? Do you have a schedule to put your fence in?
Like, I just sent a letters to 16 address to get approved.
Yeah, you were supposed to send letters to the utility companies?
Yes, 2 of them approved already.
Okay.
The girl over there come here and you guys decide for that.
But do you have a drawing of what you want to do?
Yes, I submit drawing with the letters. Like that.
What you probably should do is coordinate with engineering.
Let me do conditional approval. Okay.
Okay, we could do
So,
that.
okay.
What we usually all have a plan and have all the information, and for some reason, we don't have that information tonight. But if you can get with our Community Services Department or Engineering Division, give them the documents that you have already, including some of those consents there, probably some drawings, maybe to help him. And we're going to rely upon him very heavily. And we're going to, I think, approve the request conditioned upon his approval. So you won't have anything tonight, but you can at least give that documentation to Mr. Peony, and he will make certain it gets in the right hands, and then a decision will be made.
All right. So,
So just stay till at the end of the meeting and work with him.
Yeah, that way we can get your email or phone number.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Just don't forget to come back up when we're at the end of the meeting. Anyone else in the audience, either?
are you gonna make a motion first and second?
Yeah, let's do that.
I'll move that we approve this conditionally with the agreement of, you know,
With staff.
staff.
Second?
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Amanda.
Mhm.
Anyone else in the audience wish to address us? Either in the audience here or online? Hear anything? So Mr. Hudson will move to IDM compliance plan status update.
All well with IDIM. The first item on my status of tasks is consideration of the Sonde Solutions contract, and this is a cybersecurity firm.
My understanding that this is a contract that's already been executed and we just need to ratify the approval. Is that correct?
Yes, and the reason why it needed to be signed before it became used, it was a condition of renewing our insurance.
Is there further questions for Sam? Or is there a motion for ratification of this agreement?
I would move we ratify the agreement.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next up is consideration of the Santec PSA for sanitary sewer engineering services. And this is related to Adam's presentation because of the rapid increase in the rates, treatment rate from citizens. We're exploring the possibility of constructing our own treatment plant.
Great.
And this again is also a ratification.
I would move we ratify or grant the ratification. Second.
For discussion, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next up are two engagement letters in the Shauna addenda. Because of the conflict, Shauna was the one that reviewed and approved these contracts. One is related to the Sandec, and this is the legal work related to getting a new treatment plan approved. And that's the wastewater treatment plan project letter. And the second is researching the issue of the White River Fire Department services inside of our city limits.
It's up to be the same, so we can take both of those as one if somebody would like to make that motion.
I'll move for ratification of the engagement letters and addendums from Taft Law for the wastewater treatment plant and the White River Fire District project.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Oh,
Yes. The first item's for a single parcel sewer service agreement at 498 Columbia Court, and the name is Stewart. This is located out near State Road 37, south of the Wakefield West Section 2 subdivision. The representatives have been in contact with Keith Meyer, our sanitation superintendent, and he agrees that this can move forward. So we're asking to authorize staff to prepare that agreement once we have all the proper documents.
so move and authorizing the board, the mayor to sign on the board's behalf as well.
Yes.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Second item is the 2022 annual paving project at Stop 18 Road. This is our annual paving project that we put out every year. We received bids last Friday, April 15th. 5 bids were received. All Star Paving came in as the lowest responsible and responsive bidder at $1,385,780.21. Again, the legal department's looked everything over, engineering and the street department have looked over the numbers. Everything is in order. At this time, we're asking for the board to award the base bid to All Star Paving, subject to working out all the funding with the finance department, which I think we know where the money's coming from. And then, well, that second was, it's no longer a condition approved by the legal department. They approved it earlier this afternoon. So it's just the one condition about the funding. However, we've been trying to get hold of the deputy mayor today and have not been able to. We're not sure if there's funds available, if maybe he would want to be one of the alternates. We definitely want to do the base bid. So I don't know if we condition it, if the funds are available.
The funds are
decide
available. Give alternates.
Yeah.
Have we worked with All Star Paving before?
I mean, actually, last year they did both of our are big projects, and we were very happy with them, satisfied with them. And I actually spoke to them today, talking to them about the bid, and they're very comfortable with their bid. They're ready to get going and seem to want to.
Somewhat significantly lower than some of the others.
Yes, and our estimate though was actually close to this price. Yeah, so we're very happy to have that come in.
Or would we want to make a firm commitment to the base bid of All Star Paving, finding that they are the lowest responsible bidder, and to make that motion. And that we also delegate to city engineer department in connection with deputy mayor regarding the allocation of any alternate bids. for this project. Is there a second?
So on a second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Well,
I was talking to that. So I turned it into a-
Yeah. Next is. The next 6 are all identical as far as what the request is. It's for the mayor to be authorized to sign the operations and maintenance manual for water quality. The project are Main Street self-storage expansion, Lions Park, the learning experience, Worcester Commerce Center Phase 2, Lot 1, Lot 2, and Lot 3.
Your pleasure, let's do them all, do them all together.
I move we approve and authorize the mayor to sign the full-in manuals. Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Greg, good evening. It is evening.
Good evening, Greg Wright, City Controller. Continue regarding the proposal for our property and liability insurance, which would be renewing as of April 23rd. I did send out the updated numbers from our insurance broker that include the new cybersecurity insurance quote, which has gone down, which is nice. That is based on the contract that Sam discussed earlier with Sanitary Solutions, implementing some multi-factor authentication. That was a requirement to get a quote, and it actually did bring down our pricing, which is nice. Across the board, there are some increases, but they did put in what our exposures were, which is causing some of those increases. So you'll see our property insurance is going up fairly significantly, but our value of property covered has gone up 20 million. Big piece of that is the field house and Station 93 coming online, the DPW building coming online. So we've got several changes there. The general liability, our budget drives a lot of that. The law enforcement, the number of officers we have drives that. So you can see our covered officers have gone up. So a lot of those are fairly in line with what we would expect in the market. Some of the increases are driven by changes in our situation, but most of it, the highlighted column for net rate increase, that's the market rate increase, basically. And talking to our insurance broker, those are all kind of in line with what they're seeing across the rest of the state.
And Greg, I'm assuming this is with your recommendation, is that correct?
Yes.
With that recommendation, I will move that we approve that we pay the premium through, is it through Travelers or?
It's Epic Brokers is our broker, and they would basically this entire proposal, some through Travelers, some through some various other ones, but they would cover the entire proposal for that.
That'd be my motion.
I'll second.
Further discussion?
I've got a question. Is the airport, so the airport is included in this? I thought they always paid their separate.
They do have separate policies, but this is their refueling equipment, so it's a vehicle basically coverage, but we pay it out of their budget, so we have a separate line item. But then they've also got a separate liability for that's a 3-year policy, and so that comes up every 3 years.
Further questions? Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Greg. Mr. Russ, your turn.
I would move for approval of the claims as presented.
I will second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you all. We'll stand adjourned at 6:21 PM.
Time.